Hi, um, I'm Prisha. I got an introduction, but I am a detransitioner, and my presentation is about validation versus affirmation. I think this distinction is key for parents as well as children, but definitely harder to convey to young people and mentally ill people. But there is a difference between validation and affirmation, as well as a difference between what is real and what is true. Okay, so, or I guess I'll give you another second with that. um, so, there you go. All right. Validation versus affirmation. So, validation offers realness and worthiness to the sufferer of a thought or feeling without affirming it as truthful necessarily. Validating words include things like, I see you, I hear you, those feelings make sense, that must be so hard. So, the mental health epidemic that is happening to our youth is real. It's verifiable. The suffering that gender dysphoric children have, that is real. They're not making it up. It truly exists. However, the source of that suffering is not always attributed to truth or actual reality. Again, the suffering exists, but children and young and vulnerable people are being told that their suffering is caused by their body being wrong, not normal things like puberty or bullying or mental health, and then being offered a magical cure for this real suffering with a condition that doesn't actually exist. Affirmation takes validation further and says that thoughts and feelings are not only real, but are also true. Affirming words include, that is terrible, you feel that way because it's true, you are correct in your belief, your feelings are facts. So an example of, a more direct example regarding gender ideology would be to say that you feel like a boy because you are a boy. And that's simply not true. The feelings of feeling like a boy exist and they are real, but the truth is that you're not really a boy or a girl. That's not reality. I feel like a mistake some parents and clinicians can make in denying your child's gender identity. Sometimes there's the denial of the existence of those feelings. And your daughter with a trans identity really does feel like a boy, really does hate her body, truly might be suicidal, suffering, or whatever it is. But again, the truth is not that it's her body, it's a different sort of suffering that's being medicalized. Gender-affirming care and other facets of affirmation. The affirmation-only model is offered to patients suffering from gender dysphoria, affirms the patient's feelings as facts. Often online we hear things like, cis people don't think about gender this much. It's all like self-fulfilling prophecies and stuff like that. Clinicians don't look for other causes, sources, or meanings of feelings or beliefs, even if they are delusional, but instead affirms them as fact. We can see a stark difference between how someone with the delusion that they are fat when they are really thin is treated versus someone with a gender identity disorder. Both conditions exist in the mind and deserve ethical, evidence-based treatment. Affirmation from the trans community. The trans community replaces validation with affirmation and also asserts that feelings are facts. When a child is not validated that their suffering is real and true, they run towards affirmation. I mean, if you don't validate the child, there are open arms waiting to affirm them, and they will feel validated and affirmed and vindicated and cared about. I mean, I remember being told that I wasn't crazy, that it made sense that I feel this way because my body was wrong, and that all of my feelings made sense, and that aligning my body with my brain and trying to look like a boy would cure all of my mental health problems, and that simply wasn't true. The community also demonizes self-doubt and exploration of thought by calling such actions internalized transphobia, which affirms the delusion. And again, cis people don't think about gender this much. If you think you're trans, then you are. Your autism diagnosis proves that you are trans. Finally, the trans community tells those with gender dysphoria to remove anyone from their lives who is non-affirming. The dangers of affirmation. So I made kind of a timeline. So a young person shares that they have a delusional belief, often online or to doctors, and this usually accompanies alarming statements that reflect a poor state of mind. I hate my body, I hate myself, I'm ugly, I don't walk right, I don't talk right, I eat too much, I can't eat, whatever it is. And then they're pulled into a community of people who feel the same way, but these feelings aren't called wrong, they're affirmed, and so on and so forth. The sufferer is told that their beliefs are not only real, but also true. Sometimes others in the person's life are not validating feelings, making affirmation more attractive. And then once they believe that they have a disease that does not exist because their feelings have been affirmed as truth, they start seeking cures for the delusion. With affirmation, that delusion is reality and the cause of the suffering. The person seeks to cure something which is not actually wrong with them. Each action is affirmed and encouraged. And then comes the affirmation of delusional behavior, because delusional belief systems accompany delusional behavior. Delusional thinking leads to delusional behavior. As all behaviors are affirmed, they continue. Behavior stops reflecting reality. Because the patient is trying to heal a non-sickness or a symptom of a real one instead of the issue itself, they never find relief. Desperation ensues, family is lost, reality is lost, and the self is lost. This is this downward spiral. I also believe this is why people with trans identities seek treatment after treatment, because there are some positive effects of receiving gender-affirming care. Estrogen has known soothing effects. Testosterone masks depression, but it wears away eventually, and you're on to a higher dose, the next surgery, the next thing, and you're told constantly that it stopped working because you're not fully aligned. You have to go further and further down the path of delusion and medicalization to no end, and eventually your health is gone and your mental health didn't get any better. Affirmation and identity. Identity is integral to humans. It teaches us how to relate to ourselves, others around us, and the world. Young people and the gravely mentally ill do not have easy access to an identity, or their identity might be full of self-hate. It is very attractive to such people to have an identity offered to them. So the trans community is your gender identity, it's who you are. Not to mention that you can put the old person, the wrong child, the mentally ill person to rest. You can get rid of them, dead name, dead self, and start all over. You have a new identity, and it's all always affirmed. Self-talk with I am statements influence the self and ego. This is self-affirmation. Identity should come from what we do and what our values are, not things like our body or our gender identity. And identity offers the safety of being in a group. Again, as far as the benefits of transition, the trans community, it's a community. I mean, people are affirmed and their feelings are validated. They're told they're not crazy. They're told they can receive help. They're told it'll get better and there's a cure, and they're welcomed in by like-minded people who convince the person that they're the only people who understand. Preventative validation, making affirmation less attractive. People run towards affirmation because of a lack of validation. Validation of feelings as real but not true can help. Examples of invalidation include things like, you don't even feel like a boy because you are not one. It's not that bad, you're being dramatic. Your feelings make no sense, so you shouldn't have them. You're being dramatic, you are creating problems. There are no wrong or bad feelings, only bad actions. There are no unallowed feelings. We should not judge the nervous system for how it reacts to what is around us. I kind of at this point believe that, especially in young people growing up in the society we're having, gender dysphoria is kind of a natural reaction to such a sexually broken and gender segregated society. I think it makes sense, you know? Young people are suffering with mental illness at unprecedented rates. This is real and true. Mental illness is at an all-time high, and so is the presence of those with trans identities. The suffering of these people is real. The reasons they attribute to their suffering are not often true. We need to validate the existence of this suffering and find its source instead of affirming delusions and treating just the symptoms. Thank you.